Okay, welcome back. So we are on the last page of the closure packet here. We have two more solving quadratics, and then we're going to do some solving with quadratic formula. So for the first one right here, just like the previous page, the issue with these problems right here is they are not equal to 0. In order to factor or use the quadratic formula, it has to be equal to 0. So my step one is move all of this stuff to this side. How I do that is I literally do the opposite of all of the terms on the right side. And I'm going to move all of those at once to the left side and put them in the correct order. So I have 7x squared minus 6x squared, so I'm left with 1x squared. I have 12x minus 6x, which is 6x. And then I don't have a term here. I'm just bringing over a plus 8, so I just bring over my plus 8. And now it's equal to 0, and it looks more like what we're used to. So now it looks very similar to a diamond problem. What multiplies to 8 and adds to 6? It's 4 and 2. So I could write x plus 4, x plus 2. And then, just like the ones on the prior page, set them both equal to 0 when it asks you to solve, and do the opposites. So there's my two answers, -2 and -4. Okay, last factoring problem on here with solving. So again, not equal to 0. I need this stuff over here so that it equals 0. So how do I do that? I do the opposites. So to get rid of minus 8m, I'm going to do plus 8m. To get rid of minus 6, I'm going to do plus 6. And I'm going to move all of that over here. When combining like terms, there's nothing to combine with the m squared, so I just leave that. I have 4m plus 8m, combining those together, and that makes 12m. And then I have 26 plus 6, which is 32. And now I moved all those, and it's equal to 0. Another diamond problem, what multiplies to 32 and adds to 12? It ends up being 8 and 4. So I could jump right to my factored form, m plus 8, m plus 4. Why did I not need to go through all those steps of replacing the middle term? Because there's no number in front of the squared term here. If there was, that's when I would do those additional steps. And then last step, I set each of these equal to 0. And I do the opposites. So to get rid of plus 8, I do minus 8. And to get rid of plus 4, I do minus 4. And there's my two answers. -8 and -4. Okay, so now let's move on to our quadratic formula. So the first thing we mentioned is you don't need to have the quadratic formula memorized right now, so you will be given the formula. It's x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. So how do you solve these ones? You just need to make sure it's equal to 0, and then you need to label what a, b, and c are. So for this first one right here, a is 8, the coefficient in front of x squared. Make sure you don't accidentally bring an x with it. It's just the number in front. B is a -11. Don't forget the negative sign. And c is -2. Then all I do is plug it into the formula. So x is equal to the opposite or negative whatever b is. Notice that negative sign stayed out front, and I also had a negative sign with the 11. So that's how I write that. And then here, b is -11. Don't forget the parentheses there. The squared should be on the outside. Minus 4 times a, which is 8, times c, which is -2. All over 2 times a, which is 8. Okay, so there are ways to simplify this by hand, but right now we were saying we can use Desmos to type this in. When you're typing it into Desmos, you're going to click first. Hopefully this loads up. Cool. So x equals first. Then I click the division sign right away to make sure the entire thing's a fraction. And then it was negative parentheses negative 11. We can't do plus or minus, so we're just going to do plus first. Add our square root. Then it was parentheses negative 11 squared minus 4. Let's see what a was. A was 8 and c was negative 2. So I type those in, and then it's 2 times a, so 2 times 8. So my first answer is 1.54, rounding to 2 decimal places. Oops, sorry. And to get the other answer, oops, I don't know where it went. Oh, there we go. So we changed the plus sign in between that first number and the square root to a minus sign, and we get negative 0.16. And there's our 2 answers. So we're going to do the exact same thing in number 20, but the issue with number 20 is it's not equal to 0 to start. So we need to move this negative 22x to the other side before we label a, b, and c. So when we do that, we keep our squared term first. That one happens to be our x term, so that should go second. To move it to the other side, we do the opposite, which is plus 22x, and we keep our positive 35. So our a is 3, our b is 22, and our c is 35. You should have no variables with a, b, and c. They should just be numerical values. So then I'm going to go and write this down before I type it in the calculator. X is equal to negative, and then b is 22, plus or minus square root, parentheses b squared, minus 4 times a times c. Sorry, running out of room here. All over 2 times a. Okay, and then we go back to our calculator and type that in. So I'm just going to change what I already had in there. So it was negative and then 22. We'll start with plus. 22 squared minus 4 times, sorry. A was 3, C was 35. All over 2 times A, so 2 times 3. And I get negative 2.3 repeating. So we're going to put negative 2.33. That's one of my answers. To get the other answer, I'm going to change that plus sign in the middle to a minus sign. And we end up getting negative 5. So there's my 2 answers. Okay? Make sure you guys show this step. Okay, in case you make any mistakes typing in your quadratic formula, just make sure you show this because this will allow you to get partial credit even if you make a mistake typing it in the calculator. Okay, last problem, and this says SAT practice. This is also an ACT type of problem that is based on the same skills that we've seen throughout this unit. So let's take a look and let's see if we can apply some of the skills that we've seen throughout the unit to this problem right here. So we know that u plus t is 5 and u squared minus t squared equals 25. What's the value of u minus t? The first thing you should always gravitate towards in these type of problems is the equation that's given. And think about what type of factoring does this look like? Even though it's just variables and not numbers, to me, this is difference of squares. So it's the same thing. We can still recognize this to be difference of two squares. And we can think about it the same way as before, using that concept of what times what is u squared, or what's the square root of u squared. It's u times u. What times what is t squared? Positive t minus t, and that equals 25. So we look at what we're given in the problem. It is asking us what is the value of u minus t, which is this. And the only other thing we don't know is what is u plus t? Well, it actually gives us that in the problem. It says u plus t is 5. So this whole thing right here is 5. We don't know what this part is, but we do know that 5 times something would give us 25. So what number multiplied by 5 is going to give us 25? It's also 5. So basically, u minus t also equals 5. So what's the value of u minus t? It is 5. Okay, thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know in class.